toenails and blistered heels, salt stains streaking down my face. Sun is beating, muscles scream, but I'm moving at my pace. Run the riot! Leave the world behind! Run the riot! You free your body and your
Today on the Run the Riot podcast, we got my boy Cam. What's going on, Cam?
Man, I'm doing great, brother. It's really good to be a part of this. I'm so excited. So excited.
Dude, glad to have you on, man. So where are you sitting right now? Where are you?
That's our office, man. Private sector strength, and this is the office right here. So, and all
That's where the planning of the magic happens, huh?
man, meeting in the mines, not so much in this mine though, so.
Well, for those listening, you and I ended up meeting out in the, I guess at the, before the start of Prairie Spirit 100 this year, and you were coaching Angela Smith, helping her with strength work and everything else to go out and crush the course. But she spoke highly of you, and you and I got to meet out there, and that was your first experience of being out there and experiencing what and Ultramarathon was all about. And I could, it was cool because when I met you, you were excited. Like, I can't wait to see what's going to happen.
Oh yeah, man. It's one of those things you don't know until you get out there.
Yeah.
And it's wild. I mean, you have your thoughts going in, like, okay, we're gonna stop at this rest area, this aid station, and then it's like any other sport to a degree, where you never know what's gonna happen. And just being through that for the first time was an experience. You get to see the highs and lows of the runner. You get to see everything, and that was one of the coolest things about that whole experience. Is you have a plan, and it's written out. It's to a T. She hits this, she's going to smoke it. And I mean, she did. But there's points in that, like in Welda, where she's out of it. And I'm like, sister, this is honestly probably where you want to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you ain't feeling much, to a degree. And I was like, you know what, this is okay. We hit a little bit of a wall. That's fine. Let's roll this thing. And credit everybody that was involved. The Pacers destroyed it. I mean, my goodness. I mean, you had Spud leading off. She crushed it. And then Mimi coming back. She crushed it. And then she picks her up and she's like, I got you. I'm going to pick you up for this last mile. Then it's pitch dark. It's completely dark. She picks her up and she just rolls. And and it's so selfless. The community is just so selfless. And that's one of the most endearing things to me is everybody's coming after you. Like, I'm going to get your butt. Like, it's going to happen, right? But I'm going to pick somebody up. She had other races after. Both of these ladies had other races, other things to do after. And that's the crazy part about it is I'm going to pick you up. I got you. It don't matter what I'm going to do, what I have going on after. It doesn't matter. This is me helping you cross that finish line. And it was beautiful.
Well, that's one of the things that's really cool about, about our sport is you can do, and I do a lot of races like that one. I've always done that one like pretty solo. I've never had pacers and stuff, and you can do it solo, but man, a lot of times in my big races, my wife will come crew me and stuff. It's a team effort. And so one of the things that you're talking about that, but you already have that spirit about you because Angela wasn't expecting you to be there. You drove all the way from Alabama to be there to help and just to offer. And it was you just jumped in and like, I know she helped you. She told me when we were running together on the way out and she's like, I think I'm gonna get, Cam to help me with massage. You helped massage some things and some tightnesses she was having. And you just like jumped in and we're a part of it. And, like you said, I'm a spreadsheet guy too, when it comes to my racing. And that's just, and my wife knows now, like, this is the guideline, like stuff happens.
Right.
And you just have to pivot. But if you don't plan, you don't have anything to pivot from, you plan what you can, and then you go from there. But if you don't plan at all, then you just kind of, it does, you're not going to get the best out of yourself and stuff.
Right.
So
No, in my mind, it was one of those things that, I'm gonna bring my stretching table out there. I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
carry that thing around, and it came to a point. It's like, hey, find a spot on the ground. Like,
yeah, yeah,
what do you need right now? Let's attack
yeah.
the hams. Let's attack the glute med. What is smoking you right now? What can we take care of right now? And that went to a point. It's like, okay, putting you down, like putting you down on the ground, that's doing more harm than good. I'm gonna sit you in a chair, and we're gonna do this thing boxer style if we need to.
Just spit in his bucket.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And we made an adjustment, and she was just so receptive to everything. And not all athletes, and you know that.
Yeah,
Not all athletes are receptive to what you're trying to do. She was just a monster, and she just killed it. And I couldn't be more proud of her. Uh,
yeah.
just seeing from where we started to what she was able to do, and it's so scary that she has so much more. Tank. I mean, I'm just so grateful to be a part of it.
Yeah,
I, I,
she's
I
got
couldn't
potential, man.
I couldn't tell you how grateful I am to be a part of something like that.
Yeah,
Like race
yeah,
day is a Super Bowl for me, just like
yeah.
being on the sidelines for football or whatever sport, it's so awesome. It's so
Well,
cool.
and you get to play a part of it, like you're helping build the machine that can do it, and then you get to, I would have, like akin to auto racing, like you help build the car, and then you get to watch it perform and do fine tuning when it makes a pit stop. It's like that, but it's like with a human.
Yeah,
It's pretty fun, and and so well, we're gonna come back to the race, but let's do
yeah,
a
sure.
big rewind and
Yeah,
let's talk about Cam from the beginning. Tell me, what's your background, dude? Like, where did you grow up, and tell me about your schooling and how did you get
yeah.
even into strength and fitness? Let's go there.
Yeah, so I started out really in high school. I'm 5 foot tiny, so it's one of the it's one of those things that you see that. I mean, I ain't gonna outgrow anybody. I'm
Yeah,
just gonna and I'm not really that athletic. So what can really build my own tank? How can I excel? Beyond the stuff that, God's given me. So it's like, okay, well, we can get bigger, stronger, faster. And that really kind of set a fire in me to where it's like, man, I have good strength coach. I can actually do this for a career.
yeah, yeah,
That's really cool. So, and now, I always saw my dad and my brother, they're lifting weights. And I'm just like, that's dope. I really want to be able to lift like they do. So that kind of started it, right? And then it's like, okay, well, I got to get my foot in the door. So how do you go about doing that? So, it's always in the back of, a lot of strength coaches' heads. They want to go, power five, what have you. Like that's the goal. And you're gonna be in that kind of environment, right? So
yeah,
I think a good deal of that is a little fumbling here. Uh, you gotta make those progressions, you're gonna make those steps, right?
yeah,
So internships, I got to intern a couple of different colleges and the private setting. I started when I was 19. So, and I'm, 32 now. So
yeah,
it's one of those things you start early, you pick as many people's brains as you can. And, kind of like a nurse or a doctor going through rotations, right?
yeah,
You want to pick as many people as you can. You get good information from people, and you kind of build your philosophy like behind that, right?
yeah,
And so, I started out at South Alabama as an intern. Went with Ben Cohen. Ben Cohen is one of my favorite people on the planet. He's one of those guys that developed me, yes, as a strength coach, but more so as a Christ follower,
mm,
is a man that is sold out for the Lord. Like that was the biggest thing that I got from him. But also, I mean, he coached at LSU, he coached at Texas, Olympic
yeah.
training.
That's you,
Like,
buddy.
yeah,
Hey,
go
I'm from South
Tigers,
Louisiana. That's right.
go
Go Tigers.
Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I coach Joe. But that was he was a big point in my life where I needed somebody,
yeah,
and he took me under his wing, and so I learned from him. Then I went out to Spring Hill College, right? And that's how I actually met my first runner was Spring Hill College, you know,
Nice.
Spring Hill. And, I was kind of thrust into, 8 teams there. And it's a lot.
Yeah.
And, dealt with a lot of stuff there. I mean, I was overly anxious all the time, a lot of depression and stuff like that. And calling a lot of my friends, a lot of my buddies, say, how do you deal with this? Um, and I also got a funny story about that. We'll circle back to that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Yeah. Don't
but
forget.
yeah, no, a lot of fun stories here. But went through that, and then Coach Halford was the guy that got me a shot at Jacksonville State, right? So was able to go do that for a couple of years, um, and ended up getting a master's degree over there as well. And that's where actually, you're a small D1 university like that. You're able to, not just be a one size fits all guy. You got to do everything.
Yeah.
And that kind of helped me get the idea of like, man, like there's more out here than just football. And football was incredible at Jacksonville. But there's the Olympic side too, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not doing stuff with football, you're on every other sport.
Yeah.
So that was really cool too. And then I was over the track and field team. And the track and field, I mean, you got everything from your throwers to your cross country, like guys and gals.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. They need all these different things as well. Again, it's not one size fits all approach.
Yeah.
They need something different than any, it's really cool. You get a lot of different athletes in there. So really, really cool there. And so I got done at Jacksonville, went to private sector, went from the private sector to where I was director at a high school. And that leads me here, back in the private sector.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, so I think about like at our school, we've got a strength and conditioning coach, which we're blessed as a private school to be able to have that somebody on staff. And I always think so. I deal with runners. Now I lift and I've done jujitsu and I've done wrestling and stuff. So I know some things, but like I deal with just runners as far as their strength and imbalances and stuff. And I can't imagine uh, you know, what our guy has to deal with is his name's Coach Eckel. And like, cause so my daughter plays softball, she plays volleyball, and then that she does track and it's all, there are some commonalities between them all, but there are also different things, especially when you're dealing with football, when you're
Right.
dealing with power lifter, all the things, there's so many different things and you've got to figure out the puzzle for each one. And was that really daunting to you at first, or did you just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna embrace this and figure it out? I don't know. How'd you handle that?
Man, it's a little of both.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Like when you're younger and you're cutting your teeth, you're like, brother, I want to do everything, and this
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome. But no, to a degree, yes. There are, you call it GPP, so general physical preparedness, right?
Okay.
Where everything can be general until it's not.
Hmm. Yeah. Until you get to the
So,
specificity of the, yeah.
right, no, exactly. So you can start with that, and that's where I start with a lot of my athletes, right? Is it's a very general approach,
Yeah.
until we get to a point where we really, really need it. Um, so
So,
you can,
so
mm,
if sorry to interrupt, but I
yeah,
want to
yeah,
like, what are the common things that and I have some guesses, but I'm just curious to know, just across the board, what are those common things that all athletes should work toward or should work on? What are those things?
yeah. So we talk about synchronicity, right? So everything is going to be in sync. So think about it at a very, very base level. You need to have something, and that could be something as simple as like a strongman exercise, right? So it could be something like a bear crawl in terms of full body, right? So like full body stuff, synchronicity, crawls. We think about carries. So that's very, very base level, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to
Yeah.
build that base first. Then you have to build the lower half, right? You've got to do that.
Yeah.
And that could be something as simple as some kind of squat progression, right? So, I mean, I work on the front side with every athlete that I have. I work with the front side first. So it could be something as simple as a goblet squat, right? And then you progress, right? So it could be a goblet squat to a front squat, still staying on the front side, like a Zercher squat. Then we load with the back side, right? Then we go overhead, right? So that's a really big thing. But then beyond that, single leg work, single arm work, right? So
Yeah.
a good half equals a good whole, right?
Yeah.
So building a good base, synchronicity, make sure it all
Yeah.
works together,
Yeah.
right? And those are the big common things that I could say that go through every single athlete that I've ever trained. And again, you build a good base first, and then you progress from that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Nice, nice. No, that's good. That's good. I like that.
yeah,
And just to have a balance, and my guess was going to be like, and that's basically what you said. Like, for everything, you need a good core, and you need to, and from there, just building and no, that's good. That's real good. So you kind of you do that, and you start solving the puzzles for, I guess, individual athlete, what their deficiencies are, but also for their particular sport,
right.
what they need to be excel in. So it's a lot.
And again, it is, but it isn't. Once you know how to kind of fine tune things, we talk about the coach's eye a lot.
Yeah.
Um, if you're around this enough, you know what an athlete will need,
Yeah.
right? But then for runners, I mean, big thing I'm looking at is the pelvis, right? Are we stacked? Are we not stacked? And how do we go about that? Do we add
Yeah.
in pelvic flooring work? How's our post chain? What does it look like? Right?
Yeah.
How's our hip flexors? What does the glute need? Is it firing as it should?
Yeah.
Um, so in terms of specificity, once you know how the body moves, then you're going to be able to analyze your athlete better. So
Nice, nice.
yeah,
No, that's good. That's
yeah.
fantastic. Well, how did you? So, I mean, you kind of you were able to help, and I was watching as Angela was training and all, and I was like, man, I was looking at her splits. I was like, that girl's gonna crush it. And then I saw all the strength work she was doing, the planks and the core work and all the things you had her doing, and I was like, yeah, she's really gonna crush. She's doing some good stuff. Well, how did you? So you did that, and I don't know, how did you end up like starting to help in the private sector runners and stuff to do these things, and then ultra marathoning, from marathon, from regular races, ultra marathons, and then ultra marathons. How did all that happen?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and again, I definitely credit that to a God thing. I mean, man, without his grace and, without that
Amen.
favor, man, I,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's out of my hands. But what had happened was I had a former athlete reach out to me. Um, her name's Mimi. Mimi reached out to me and she's like, can you look into my strength stuff for marathon work? I'm like, yes.
I'd be
Yeah,
glad to.
I would love to. And you work, football and also the Olympic side. Sometimes that kind of gets lost in the weeds. It kind of does. And I'm like, this is something that I know that I have the tools that I can actually get back. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so she hits me up and, we start going at it and push comes to shove. And all of a sudden I'm in Casey Garmin crewing her at Garmin. And I'm like, what the heck? Like,
Yeah.
how did that happen?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's how that happened, and I credit her for a whole lot. Just, for getting me into that,
Yeah,
and
and
some
trusting you. She knew you well enough, and your abilities enough to trust you to help. Because it's it's an important thing. As a coach myself on the running side, I when people ask us to help them, it's they're putting trust in us, because they're putting effort in, they're putting time, money, all the things, and it's a big deal. And it just says a lot, of her trust in you to say, Cam, can you help me with this, and then to go all in, and let do what you tell her to do.
right, right. And then I learned a lot crewing from that. I made a big oopsie. So going down, I get the map, and I'm like, okay, this is great. I know the route that's going to happen. We discuss where she wants me to meet her at. As far as intake, what we're going to do. This is great. Well, so we meet halfway. Okay. And she shakes me off like a pitcher, like, you get one of those. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, we're rolling,
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
point. So the map, it only had the actual main street names, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
me not being from that area, it was a struggle. And
Yeah.
so me being pretty directionally challenged, let's call it what
I'm
it
with
is.
you, bro. I'm with you.
Let's let's call it what it is. I walked 2 miles the wrong way, and I find that, and I'm like, okay, I gotta hightail it. And then
Yeah.
I hightail it back, and then she calls me on her watch, and this girl's nails, right? Just absolute nails. And I'm like, this is not good. She calls me, and she's not doing very hot.
Yeah.
She full bodies, just full body cramps.
Yeah.
And then I was like, if you can make it to 18, I'm gonna meet you there. And then so I got a backpack and everything. I got all her stuff in it, and I'm cutting through neighborhoods trying to get back. I'm, me being not necessarily being aerobic Andy over here. I've run like 4 miles on the way back, and she beat me. She beat me to the point, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get to her. And
Yeah.
then she finishes, and I find her in the injury tent, and she's getting like double ID bags, but such a freaking trooper.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when I tell you, like she full body cramps like 8 miles out, and she just grits her teeth and just goes.
Yeah.
That tells you the kind of chick she is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then taking that termination, what, 2, 3 marathons later, BQs. I mean, I couldn't say enough about her, man. She's a
Yeah.
baller, such a
Yeah.
baller.
Hey there, my friends. I want to pause for a second and talk to you about Magic Mind. You've heard me talk about it before. I love it because of just the natural ingredients that are in it. I want to talk to you about a few of those ingredients, man. The amazing ingredients. One of them is ashwagandha. It's known as Indian ginseng. It's been used for thousands of years for its health benefits. It's a small shrub that's native to India and North Africa, and now it's cultivated in a bunch of other countries, including the United States. And the root and the berries of the plant they're used medicinally. It's an adaptogenic herb, which means it helps the body adapt to stress and reduces the negative impact of stress on the body. Who's got stress they need adapting to? All right. It's also got turmeric in it, which is always fun to say. Turmeric has been shown to have anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and anti-cancer properties and may be effective in treating a variety of health conditions. Some say including arthritis, depression, and even heart disease. It's got turmeric. In ancient India, turmeric was used as a symbol of purity and often applied to the skin for ceremonial purposes. Just a fun fact, all right? It also has lion's mane. Lion's mane is a type of edible mushroom. It's got its name because of the way the long, shaggy appearance it resembles the mane of a lion. It's considered a superfood. It's got high levels of antioxidants, beta glucans, and other compounds that have been shown to have health benefits. And the brand Magic Mind is committed to using only the highest quality, clean ingredients. They didn't go grab lion's mane from the backyard, all right? They've got good ingredients here. And so this month, if you would like to try Magic Mind, we've got a new code. If you go to www.magicmind.com/runtheriotjune, that's the month June, use the code runtheriotjune at checkout, you get a discount. And so man, good quality, it works, and it helps you. Helps your body. We all want to be healthy, and it's just another tool for you to be healthy. Try Magic Mind, www.magicmind.com, and use code RunTheRiotJune, all one word. All right, let's get back to our show. That's when you think about, like, I don't know, this is kind of, I guess, an opinion thing. Do you think that grit like that is something? I know I'll say it can be developed to a certain extent, but some people just have it already. You can develop it. Even if you have it, you can develop it, make it tougher. That's why we train. That's why we run the long runs. That's why we put ourselves through the garbage.
Right.
But some people just have that, they can
Yeah.
just like suffer well.
Yeah. Embrace the suck. What do
Yeah.
you call it? The pain cave?
Yeah. Some people, they I don't know. It's like Bane or something. It's just said, I was born in the darkness or whatever he said, and they just deal with it. And so, but for people listening, I do believe that you can develop that too, because I've seen people who fell apart. And we want to talk about Angela some more, because I want to talk about how you started with her. But I will say this. So I think I told Angela on the podcast. I met her on Prairie Spirit during a 50 mile.
Mhm.
And I remember sharing some miles with her. I was running with my buddy who was doing his first 50 mile, and she was suffering, and she was, how do I say that? She was pretty negative. She was complaining. Like and we met her and we were running, and she was in a bad mindset. And so I was, as you know, running with my buddy, I was trying to encourage her and all, but I didn't want it to get on him, you know? So it was kind of a weird thing, but to see where she was, that was her first, 50 mile. And then where she was for her 100 mile. I love it. Like, I think she's progressed not only physically, but mentally. She learned more grit and how to deal with that stuff. And just to see that was cool thing. And so, like, I do believe you can learn it and earn it,
Yeah, most definitely. And I think that's a reps thing as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
more you get under your
Yeah.
belt, that's more confident that you're going to be.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that definitely getting reps, and I think that that really helped her a lot as far as getting confidence. And then, you build miles in the tank and you develop that threshold, and look what happens.
Yeah. 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 Well, so my last podcast, I do a midweek motivation sometime, and the one that came out
Man,
this
I've
week.
heard, man, they're
Yeah.
great. It's a long
Well, I
time
talk.
listener, first time caller.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. I appreciate that, man. But I talked about, like, your Saturday long run. Your long run is a rehearsal, and it's
Mhm.
it's rehearsing not only the shorts you're wearing, the food you're eating, the pack you're wearing, and all that, but it's also your mentality. How are you going to deal with the junk that happens? And so when you run, you keep running along on Saturdays, junk's going to happen. You got to deal with it, and you build that mental resilience. And when you got a 25-mile run and it starts sucking at mile 5, and you just got to either push through or just keep pushing through the suck until you're done, and you learn that. And so getting those reps, and that's what Angela did. I was watching her splits, and she got it done. And it was through Mimi that you got introduced to Angela, right?
Sure did. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so she said, I want some help.
Exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So, those Mimi connected me to Angela,
Yeah.
and it was kind of yeah, like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And she told you on the pod that, she didn't meet me until, pack and pickup.
That's
And,
crazy.
and at that point, it's funny because, you've talked this person for so long, and you get to know them pretty dang well.
Yeah.
And, man, she's a better person than she's an athlete, and she's a heck of an athlete.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
that tells you anything about her. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's that's where we met. She gave me her bag, and you know had coached me, coaching a coach, right?
Yeah.
Coached me
Yeah.
where she wanted me to be, and I did what I could do to help her out, and she did the thing.
Yeah. Well, isn't it amazing how, like, with technology and stuff, because a lot of the people I've coached, there's some that I haven't met in person. And, like, one of the guys I coached, I met him. It's kind of the same thing. I went crew him at a race, and that's the first time we
Yeah,
met in person. But
yeah.
we were like this, looking at each other every week through the computer, talking through the workouts, talking through everything, how things went, how things were going to look for the next week. And so we knew each other, but I was like, dude, like, nice to meet you. Like, it's pretty
Oh yeah, nice to
amazing
meet you.
because, yeah, exactly. Like, it was just surreal to finally, like, in person. And so that
Yeah.
technology just opens that up,
Oh my gosh,
to where
yes.
we can do that and help people all over the place. And I love that. And I love you're like me, dude. You like getting to know people and talking to people. So it's fun to get to meet and help people that you wouldn't normally. They're not in your physical circle, but with technology, we can help them out.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, and it's one of those things that you just you kind of get around in it, and it kind of just opens up. It's like, man, I would have never met this person. One, and like you said, like technology, and then two, if I wouldn't have met this person,
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have met these people down the road either. So pretty
Yeah.
dang cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And okay, so you get Mimi introduced you to Angela, to help her out. So how did like what was your process with her, and what were the I don't know, what were the major things that you dealt with to help her? Because she was strong and she
Yeah.
ran strong. And
Yeah.
so what's the formula, man?
So formula with with all the endurance athletes that I have, well, and Angela's different because she didn't have a coach.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
really didn't have a running coach. She
Yeah.
self-coached. So it's knowing her plan, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go in there and just, draw from the hip. I can't do that. I've got to
Right.
know their plan, and then I've got to supplement what I feel like is best for them within their program. So within their training, it's like, okay, these are your high, we can call them high frequency, low frequency days. I'm going to go off of, you know, I'm going to supplement what I feel like, based on their training, where it kind of fits in.
Yeah. Because that's the hard thing, to be
Hmm.
honest, like where to put your strength work, your mobility work, your all that, because it's hard to do that, and then you just ran an hour and a half, or you got to go run an hour and a half, and you're like, you got me doing squats before, what? So that's no, that's and so you
Right.
got to look at that and fit it in.
So
Go
there's
ahead, man. I'm
definitely,
sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
that's
no, it's
it's a
fine.
struggle.
Yeah, no, there's definitely an ebb and flow in it too,
Yeah.
right? Because you're gonna know like through cumulative volume what they're getting with their runs, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to tax the CNS with them, you know, killing themselves, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
with their runs. So and that's a thing. It's a check with you, check with me kind of a thing too. It's one of those things that, all right, so are we fried? Are we not fried? Are we ready to roll? Are we not ready to roll? Can we strengthen something here? Do we need something here? Um, a lot of it's, stress management.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as much as, you like to say, okay, we're gonna program here, we can scrap that thing, right? We
Yeah.
can scrap that and we can rewrite it. A lot of this is fuel, right? A lot of it's RPE, so a lot of it's a check with you, check with me kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Um, so that's a lot of how I program. So it's all of it all of it's very flexible, but in the same sense, we can say, okay, you're smoked here. Let's try this, right? Or you need to recover here, So I'm a, I'm normally a 2 day a week guy as far as programming. Split
Yeah.
days, upper lower together. With a certain emphasis on a day, depending on what the mileage might be, maybe it's a speed day, what have you.
Yeah.
So we're going off that, and then the third day it can be a buffer day, right? So either if we didn't get to something or we need to have a regeneration day, we can roll that as well.
Yeah.
So again, part of the pie is trying to kind of figure out, when we can actually go. A lot of it's, you know, balancing, or running, again, just like any other sport, we're trying to kind of figure out, this part of the puzzle, and so we can make, this program as optimal as possible.
And that's one of the I love that, and I love hearing that, because one of the things I've changed how I coach over the years, and the way I do it now is like I meet. We have a slot every week where we Zoom for a half an hour, and we're looking at each other, and I can see the things that they aren't saying, because I'm looking in their faces, and when how this way, oh, it went, no, come on, how'd it go, it's like what's that?
Yep.
And we can talk through things, and you said something about stress management. Well, your body interprets all stress as stress, whether that's running, whether that's lifting, whether that's life stuff, selling a house, kids stuff, family stuff, all that. And so, man, it helps to know that. And you have to stay kind of on top of that to be able to help them manage it and get the most out of their bodies. And so, you doing that, that's huge, helping them to pivot, and giving them permission to miss or change things is a big part of it. No, so that's fantastic that you're able to do that, and
Right.
be hands on.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And then it's difficult when there's really no off season. So
Yeah, yeah,
there's no off season. So, you can develop mini off seasons. Maybe if they qualified for whatever they want to qualify, it might be, a Boston qualifier or what have you. Like right now I have runners that are in 5Ks right now, or they're doing, single miles. So it kind of takes this opportunity to say, okay, now we can really go now. right? We're kind of outside of our main, comp for the year, and we've accomplished what we need to accomplish. So now we can actually treat this as a mini off season. So now we can actually really push a little bit more. So, that's kind of the way you take it as well. You kind of have to figure out kind of how to shoehorn in certain things as well. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Do you so as for myself, one of the things I enjoy is if once my goal race is done and like let's just say I have a month or two before I start a build for another, I enjoy like instead of 5 days a week running and a few days to the gym, I flip flop that, and I keep a base, but I like going to the gym and doing all my and kind of rebuilding because there is some breakdown to an extent. I like to be strong and I lose some strength because I'm focusing on the running. And so then I flip flop that and just kind of rebuild, refocus. And I love doing that. Do you get the opportunities like when you do those little mini off seasons to, okay, remember this was weak. Let's build this back up and let's get this strong while we don't have to worry about all this volume and everything else and stuff. That's pretty
exactly.
fun.
No,
Yeah.
no, exactly. You're able to kind of update your program,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's a living, breathing document is really what it is. And then you're able to say, okay, like if and a lot of it's, I mean, we use the term injury prevention, but that's kind of a buzz term. Movement
Yeah.
itself and moving well is injury prevention itself, right? So if there's something that is fatiguing more, if there's something that we can say, okay, we need to touch up on, we can take the opportunity to actually do that now. Now that we have a little more time to kind of operate. So again, that's a little bit of a breather.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do so since you're like when you're dealing with runners and you're dealing with distance runners, endurance runners more, more often than you were before, what would you say that you're finding are the biggest weaknesses when you get in and you start working with them and you're finding like, this is kind of you're finding those touch points that you're having to help them build up that maybe they've just been blind to.
Big thing is the hips, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hip flexors, glute med,
Okay.
and if you talk to any of my athletes, that's what we hammer. We
Yeah.
all the banded work, all the
I was about to
ABAD.
ask. I was about to say you got monster walks, you got
Oh my, all of them. We literally have a mini band circuit. Like
nice,
it's a
nice.
mini band circuit. Lower back, post chain is the biggest part that we work.
Okay.
So we know that that's not, if that's an issue, man, I ain't doing my job.
Yeah.
And the post chain is defined as lower back to the calves. I see it as the whole entire back, man.
Yeah.
If our posture is cheeks,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
we ain't gonna go very far. Well, we're not gonna be efficient in what we do. And then beyond that, lower half, if we don't have strength in lower, the post chain, then the hammies and the glutes, and you got to have something to actually push the car, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If we don't
Yeah.
have that, we're not going to be efficient in what we do. So,
Yeah. It's funny. I told you I was going to ask you something, and you probably already know because you sent me that text saying I see you with what you were doing. So my lower back, my
yeah,
mileage went ramped up or whatever. My
uh,
lower back, when you get up in the morning, you're just like, oh crap, man. I feel like I know I'm 50, but golly, this is
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah,
And so I was gonna say I was gonna ask, but you already kind of answered that. But I was like, all right, what I do when my lower back starts hurting when I keep running?
yeah. Yeah. So, you can change the load, right? You can change it. You can say, okay, if we're going back, back squats for however many, I've changed the load. I mean, that's an easy way to
Yeah.
do it, right?
Yeah.
Front side, right? So that's
Yeah.
going to really challenge that. It's going to challenge, the front side, challenge that posture. Beyond that, a good thing to actually hit is, again, we talked about hip flexors, right? Hip flexors will help out that back and vice versa. Any kind of, you know, bird dog, right, is in terms of stability, right? Dead bug will help. Any kind of strong exercise will help. I'm really big in, glute ham raises, right? That's a
Okay.
really, really, really big, kind of catch all. Beyond that, it might be holding your posture. Maybe it is, um, some kind of stationary lunge hold. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can attack it, and that's the cool part about it. Is
Yeah.
again, none of this is a one size fits all approach. Is
Yeah.
something that might help you, might not necessarily help me. All right.
Yeah.
And there's so many ways you can do it. So it's not just, we're gonna go hold a plank for 3 minutes. I know. You
It's
know,
boring.
eh, I mean, in my mind, it's boring, but in the same sense, there's so much out there that can really, really, really help. If done well, and that's the big thing. It's all about intent, right? If we just go out and say, okay, we're gonna do this, no, it's all about how you attack it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that's good. That's good. And
yeah,
and it's easy to forget, because I'm coaching runners, and then I go. It's one of those things where, physician heal thyself, where you're so busy with others and you just go out and do your thing, and you're like, oh, I just felt like I did something that I would fuss at my runner for doing or not doing, you
right,
know.
right.
And it's just funny because you kind of get in your own rut and you're helping others, and you're like, yeah, I did that to myself.
Yeah, no, I'm a chief. I'm a chief of it, man.
Yeah.
I, and on my side, I'm not a very good one, but I'm an Olympic lifter. So take it as what it sounds like. It's a weightlifter is what it is, but
Yeah. Yeah.
not, again, not a very good one. And work with some overhead athletes and whatnot, and we're going through it, and I was like, man, it should look like this. But then it's like, man, I don't feel very stable in my shoulder. Like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
am I, what am I doing? And that's so funny because it's you finish all these lifts overhead, right?
Yeah.
Everything's
Yeah.
overhead, and it's like, man, that's my weakest part is my overhead stuff, and that's what I gotta do the most.
Yeah.
Like what
That's
what what am I doing here?
that's it. Yeah. And it's I don't know. It's one of those things as being a coach, you got to remember to, and that's why. So my wife asked one time, because I had a friend coaching me on the running side, and she said, why do you need a coach? You got you're coaching others. I was like, because we all have blind spots,
That's right.
and
Coaches need
sometimes
coaches.
we need people, and we learn from each other, man. Like, you and I, when we first after the race, and you and I just jumped on a Zoom and just to chat and stuff. That was so fun. Like, just to
Yeah.
talk and just talk shop, and man, I learned from you, and so
Absolutely.
that's what's fun about this is, you see things, and you came into, you don't run endurance, but you still can see it. You come
Right,
in and
right, right.
see it, and it helps having eyes on the outside, and knowing how the body works and all the training you have, and so it's huge.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a three
Yeah.
to five guy on Sunday. Like just my
Yeah.
recovery run. It's
Yeah.
like Cam, do you run? Not really.
You do. I mean, you get miles. There's an S after the mile. It's
Right.
miles. Yeah.
Right. It's like I sprint. Like that's it.
Yeah.
And then I'm much more on the type 2 side, right? Type 2 fibers versus your type 1.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily my game, but again, if I have the opportunity to use my craft in whatever way I can, that's just cherry on top, man. That's a blessing. So
That's good. Well, what I appreciated, like I mentioned this before, but what I appreciated about you is you come in to the ultra world, and there's a certain and you got a taste of it. There's a certain ethos. There's a certain like culture where people are like, where you're racing against people, but you're still you're yeah, I want to beat them, but I want to encourage them, and I want to beat you at your best, and I want you to do your best. And there's like, if somebody's suffering on the trail, we're asking if we can help each other. I mean, Angela even asked like, when we were going to that aid station, you need anything? Cam's gonna be there or whatever. I was like, no, I'm good, but it's cool, like,
yeah,
just people helping each other out, and I love that, and you embody that, because and you're wanting to help, but you're also like, have that like we all should have, like, wanting to continue to learn and grow, because none of us have it all together,
yeah,
and we all have so much to learn, and so, man,
yeah.
I think that's why we kind of hit it off, and why we're going to stay in touch.
Most definitely. Man, it's a lifelong learner kind of thing. I
Yeah.
mean, the old adage, you don't stop growing, you don't stop growing until you die, right?
Yeah.
And you have the ability to take what you've learned or not. So,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. But man, I was like, man, I gotta get a call with this guy, man. This guy's a Cajun, right? He loves Jesus.
Yeah, there you go,
Uh,
bro, you
I
got it.
I like, this guy does ultras. You say you ran at 240?
Yeah, I did the Moab 240
God bless.
October 23. Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
My gracious, that is
that was hard. It was hard.
So so what were your takeaways from the 240? If I might kind of spin it back on you here.
No, that's good, man. So when I first attempted it, it was the year David Goggins ran it, and I was with him for like 6 miles, and so that was funny. That was just running, and like when we were running through Moab, people were pulling up in their cars going, Goggins, I respect you, man, and stuff like that. It was just funny. And so, but I had an issue with my electrolytes, and that's some of the things. And I started throwing up, and I ended up 19 miles with a pack full of something I couldn't drink because it made me throw up, and I just had a anyway. I got super dehydrated, and at mile 70 something, I ended up. My wife said, "Yeah, you're done," because and. Anyway, I saw the picture of myself after. I was like, yeah, you made a good call because I was like in bad shape. And so I went back and it was a redemption thing for me to go back. And I didn't race it. Like when I first went, I was in super shape and I was like, hashtag beat Goggins. Like I was going to try to beat David Goggins. And I
Right.
was doing well until all that went south. And then when I went back, it was to go and be present and get it done. And so I just had a different mindset. I wasn't there to compete hard. I was there to experience it and to finish it. And I still had a decent time. I was still push myself, but it was big takeaways, I guess, were, fueling is huge. You've got to fuel the machine. You've got to fuel the engine or you won't go. And that's what happens with a lot of people in ultra running is their stomach goes south and then you have nothing to put into the gas tank to for the car to keep going. And so that's part of the things, in coaching where your Saturday long runs, you've got to be testing and training your stomach to be digesting all the things that you need while you're running because the blood supply to your stomach is minimized while the blood flow is going to your legs while you're sweating.
It's
And
survival.
yeah,
And
and
that's
so
what it is. The blood flows to where you need it.
that's it. That's it. And so you got to train your stomach and figure out what you can digest. And everybody's different. People are like, hey, what should I eat? And I was like, well, you got to figure it out but here's some options. Here's what works for me. And so it's that's one of the things. The other thing is attitude is huge. I went into that just a spirit of gratitude. I made a list of so when I ran the Tahoe 200, every 10 miles, I would look at my watch when it hit 10 miles and I would just mentally check out and thank God, just say a prayer of thanks every 10
Right.
miles when I did that. So for this one, I did it a little bit different. I put a note in my phone and I had 24 things and people that I was thankful for. And so every time I hit that whatever, that mile, I would thank God for that person in my life. And I didn't tell anybody I was doing that, but what was really cool, it kept me
Beautiful.
positive. It kept me focused about the good things in my life and my mentality throughout that whole thing. Like I had some lows, but man, it was just when you can get your attitude in check and it makes a huge difference. So when things would happen, it wasn't all like, it was just like, all right, let's figure this out. And the fun thing was after the race, a lot of the people that I had on the list, I sent them a message saying, hey, I just want you to know that at mile 200, I said a prayer of thanks for you and I thank God for you. And so you were a part of this journey. And so I had a list of those people and it was just really cool afterwards to be able to share that with them. And it was a blessing to them because they were like, oh man, but it helped me because I was thinking about, these people that God put in my life
Man,
and the things that he's done for me. So yeah, fueling is important, but man, attitude, man, that mentality, you've got to keep it in check because everything else could be going right. But if your attitude gets out of whack, yeah, you'll just want to shut it down. And I've had that happen to me in a race before where I got so negative when everything was going great. And I was like, I'm done. I had a mental DNF, bro. It sucks.
I mean that's beautiful though. That that in itself, having that attitude, for gratitude,
Yeah.
is just such a beautiful thing. Especially, when you're able to share that with these people and say, hey, I prayed for you. That's
Yeah.
and the thing is that kind of takes it off you for a second, right? I mean,
Yeah.
all this, to a degree is, you're out there running, you're doing this, this is you. It's not.
Yeah.
And when you can point back to, to God in this case, and you can point back to people that you care about, I think that's
Yeah.
beautiful. Like that's such a beautiful
One,
thing.
one of the things I coach my runners to do, and people that listen to the podcast probably heard this a bunch of times, but like when you get into an aid station, I don't care how you feel, you thank those volunteers for being
Come on.
there, and you mean it. Like you put a smile on your face and say, "Thank you for being here. Thank you for helping me," because those guys are volunteering to be out there, you know.
They don't have
And
to be
so
there.
it's a reminder, you know, like, hey, this, you know, people were, I'm blessed, these people were helping me. And then when you take it off of yourself, and so it's one of those things, even when you're crewing, you know, when I talk to people who never crewed before and stuff, I was like, all right, they might come in like negative. It's your job to get their head right too, not only to help them physically, but to help them spin this positively and get them out of the funk, and be positive, and you know, get them out of that, you know, you can be in the pain cave and still be positive, you know, and
Yeah,
still find that gratitude.
that's it. Reach deep. You can still give out some gratitude there.
I think that's one of the things, like Courtney DeWalter, who's just such a beast. She's the nicest person in the world,
I've heard she's
dude.
incredible.
So when I did the Tahoe 200, like when I finished, she had already like showered and she was sitting at the finish line, and so
She
she
had
was
time to
asking me.
shower.
Yeah, oh yeah, she probably took a nap and ate, and like she had been there for a while. She was second place.
Um,
She almost won it, but and I was like, I wasn't out of 200 or 250, I was number 17, so I wasn't that far, but like she was. Anyway, she's a beast, but she's talking to me like real positive about, hey, what did you think about this part of the course and all that stuff? But when you watch her, she suffers, but she embraces that, and like she looks for that pain cave because she discovers more about herself in it, and you know, and finding out what she can do. Anyway, it's just fascinating how she can do that. And you got people like Goggins who just like, you know,
and just bare bones just goes.
just grunt through it, man, and just say bad words and go.
Well, and again, I think you have to have some kind of gratitude to it. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't think you can white knuckle everything in life. Like
Yeah,
and again, I don't know, I might not necessarily be I'm not the hugest Goggins guy. I'm not.
yeah,
But in the same sense, I mean, he's incredible. But
yeah.
in terms of just white knuckling and just grunting through life, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that.
I think, yeah, and I'm not wired like that. Like
Right.
you know, I can push through some stuff, but I thrive more on on embracing the positive parts of my life, and framing, even when I'm in pain, like, all right, this is growth. I'm going to grow from this. If I can push through this, what will, you know, I'm learning about myself, and just, you know, focusing on the positive side of it, because white knuckling everything is exhausting.
It's just, it seems like a lonely thing too. I feel like it's a pretty lonely endeavor. And
Yeah, yeah.
we weren't put on this earth just to be one person. And
Right.
we need community. We
Right.
gotta have
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Well, Cam, so if anybody's listening and they're like, man, I need somebody to help, and we're going to talk when I quit recording too, but I need
Yeah,
somebody to help and look
yeah,
at what I'm doing, and
yep,
as a runner, how do they get in touch with you, and what does that look like, man? You know, you're there in Alabama, and there's a lot of
yeah,
people
yeah,
listening that ain't from Alabama. So how does that
yeah,
work?
yeah, yeah. Just shoot me something. You shoot me a DM on Instagram at
Okay.
CRIDZ 101.
Okay. I'll
And
put
you can
that
shoot
link in
me,
the show notes too. Yeah.
yeah, you can shoot me an email, and I would love to touch base with you. And just know that strength's part of the pie. So is mobility. So is training, and if done appropriately, it's going to help you out. There's a lot of adaptations that can occur, and that can really, really push your performance.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
yeah,
Nice. That's good, man. Well, what's the next race you're going to be at crewing, man?
oh man, I know Ange has one coming up.
Okay.
It's Tunnel Hill.
Oh, she's doing Tunnel Hill? When is that? What's the date on that? I need to look.
I guess
I'm looking it up because I want to be able to follow along.
because
That's a
go ahead.
no, because that's a good one. That's a fast
Yeah,
course, and I'm sure she's gonna
flat.
crush it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
from what I hear. And again, like
yeah.
flat to me and flat to y'all are probably different. Like, oh, that's like a small grade. No, that to me is a freaking mountain. Like,
I think that one's pretty flat. I haven't done it, but from all
yeah,
indications and the times on that thing, it's pretty flat. So,
yeah,
no, so that's good. You need to get her to our like you need to get out and crew a mountain race, man. That's fun stuff. My wife has been on some adventures while I'm out running, trying to get to the next aid station and stuff. It's pretty fun.
I have one that has a knockout race in Kansas City. She's gonna roll through that, and she's a monster. Like
Yeah.
she's an absolute monster. Um, I think she ran what 71 miles the last time, and I think she's gonna go, over 100. That's her goal, and she's over 100. Um, try to get out there for that, schedule and time allows, and I can do that.
Yeah, you like me, dude. I would be at every one of my runners races if I could, but like I got a family, and and I got to travel, and I got a wife. So
Right,
no, you're not.
right. I mean,
Yeah,
happy wife, happy life, So
yeah. That's it. But it's
yeah.
but I would love, it's fun to be there and in person. But if not, like they text me, during the race, after the race, and stuff too, and get to share in it a little bit. But no, that's good stuff though to be up to play a part in somebody succeeding in their goal. That's fun.
Oh, this is probably one of the most fulfilling things in my career that I've ever done. And, I've been blessed to be around, been on the sidelines for a lot of games, in the college sector, in high school, done those things, and it's been a blessing. But there's just something about endurance athletes that, it's just different. It's a completely different game. Same, but different.
Yeah. Some things are the same, but some things are different.
I mean, so it's been a blessing to be a part of, and just really excited for what's coming forward.
Well, if ever I find myself in Alabama, I will look you up, and if you ever find yourself around Oklahoma area or you're going to be at a race that I'm gonna be at, dude, let me know, and look forward to visiting. But we'll stay in touch either way. We got technology, so
Man,
it's good.
I'm an OU guy, man. I'm a sooner born, sooner bred, When I
I
die,
like
I'm
it.
sooner dead, you know, I I'm an OU guy, so I know we try to go out to some me and my dad are big OU fans.
Yeah.
So literally got on that bandwagon after I got out of college strength. Got to pick
Yeah.
a team. So it's like,
Yeah.
why not jump on the wagon? Actually,
Yeah. The literal wagon.
so
Yeah.
softball team has been freaking amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
They won their runner, and they're incredible. But I'll let you know if I'm out there. I would I'd love to hang out. And, maybe we'll get a run in and
We'll get a short run in this.
give me a short run, and then you can come lift with
Yeah.
me. We'll trade
But
off.
yeah, dude, that would be we'll do like Cam Haynes, where he does
Yeah.
his podcast, the Run Lift Shoot. He gets people to go run, lift, and shoot with him, and then they do the podcast.
Do
Oh,
you
like we
do
can
you,
do
do you,
that.
do you shoot?
I shoot guns. I don't shoot a bow. Do you? No.
So I'm in Alabama, and the guy that I work with he's a big shooting guy. Like he's
Really?
lives on a lot of acres. You know, can just set up and shoot. And he's like, man, when you gonna get out there with me? I'm like, I will. I promise. I'll get out there.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Man,
I've killed a deer with a bow before, and I've been bow hunting a few times, but it's been years. I'm not like any of that, but we could run, lift, and do something else.
I'd be all for it, man. That sounds
That'd be fun.
awesome.
Hey
Yeah,
man, suffering with friends, that's good stuff.
come on. That's how we do it.
Well, Cam, hey dude, I'm glad we could do this. Thanks for jumping on the pod, and
Yeah,
man, we will definitely keep in touch, my brother.
and it was fun, man. Appreciate you, dude.
All right, keep it up, brother.